I'm Anjali Pathak and I absolutely love muffins. So I'm going to show you how to make chocolate chip cinnamon muffins. I couldn't decide between chocolate chips and cinnamon, so I've got them both in there because I think it tastes wonderful. I've never been a big fan of these store-bought muffins. I find them quite stodgy, they're a little bit heavy. These ones are super light, really airy, they're going to taste wonderful. And it's a great recipe if you're new to baking. So follow me to my kitchen to learn how to make them. So we're going to start by making our dry ingredients, and that's what's important to get your muffins light and airy. You do your dry ingredients first, your wet ingredients separate, and then you have to mix them together and quickly get it in the oven. So I've got my oven on already, 200 degrees, so it's getting lovely and warm, and I'm now just going to weigh out my flour. So this is plain flour, 235 grams. Make sure you sift it. You want to get as much air in there as you can. So really good sift, and we're trying to get it so that we've got as much air going in this way, and then we're going to add in some baking powder, which is going to help it lift even more in the oven. Don't want to lose any. Nearly there. And with baking, it's always quite important, unless you've been baking a long time, don't delve off the recipe. You can add in a few extra little bits like spices. So we're going to be adding cinnamon today. Otherwise, you want to stick to the same amount of flour, the same amount of eggs, those kind of things. So that's 235. And then I've got my baking powder, 2 teaspoons. My flavoring, my cinnamon, 1 teaspoon. So those are more or less my dry ingredients that I need to get through the sieve. So we're giving this a good stir to make sure all those spices, that lovely cinnamon flavour, is getting really mixed in. And now we're ready to rub in our butter. So this also forms part of our dry ingredients, which is why it's going in now. That goes in. This is where you've got to get in there with your hands, really feel that mixture. Then you know that it's all rubbed in. And we're trying to get it so it feels a little bit like breadcrumbs. Now there's only 50 grams of butter that I added, just 50 grams. So it's not very much in comparison to how much flour we've got. It's rubbed in enough. I can feel that there's no big lumps left. So now we're ready to go in with the rest of the dry ingredients. A little bit of sugar. So we've got 75 grams of sugar going in. And I'm not going through the sieve, just because most of it will get caught in the sieve. So I just like to put it in this way. And I can always break up any lumps if I see any. So just 75 grams. And then I've got the best bit, which are the chocolate chips, which are just plain chocolate chips, 175 grams. You can use any chocolate chips you like, whatever you have, white chocolate chips, you can use milk chocolate chips. Giving it a stir. This is just to make sure that everything's coated. And then I'm ready to think about those wet ingredients that we talked about earlier. So all of that's coated. That's ready to go to one side. And I've got myself my wet ingredients. So this is 250 mils of milk. And then I need to crack in my eggs. Now to give it a little bit of extra flavour, I'm going to pop in a tiny little bit of vanilla extract. Just about a teaspoon or so. Not essential if you don't have any of that. I just find it adds a little lightness, a little bit of flavour to that vanilla flavour that we want to get in there. And this is just to break up any of those yolks. So I'm just using a fork to whisk that together. Now that's ready, now it's time to incorporate them together. Now if you're going to make this ahead in time, then you would want to wrap this up, pop that in the fridge, wrap this up, pop that in the fridge. And then when you're ready to bake, mix them together, because as soon as you've mixed it, that baking powder is going to start to work, and it means that those muffins need to get in the oven. Make a well in the center of that dry mix. All in with the wet mix. And then you want to be really quick stirring it together. Now there's no particular action that you need to use. I like to think of a figure of 8. So use your spoon, get that figure of 8 going in there. Drawing it in. And you don't want to make more than about 15 strokes really. And a lumpy batter will give you lighter muffins, believe it or not. So as soon as it looks more or less mixed, and you can see here it's more or less, there's a few traces of flour, absolutely fine. We're ready to get that into our muffin tray. Perfect. That's ready to go. So our muffin tray is this. And I've got these lovely liners, which means it's not going to stick to my tray. Now, if you don't have any liners, get some butter. Make sure you really butter the sides. Otherwise, you get these in there. And this will make around 12 muffins. So we're ready to fill these. So I like to fill them with just 2 tablespoons. You can use an ice cream scoop if you want. And probably get maybe about 2 to 3 in there, and that will give you your 12 muffins. So this is my last one. I've got 12 out of it. So this is ready to go in the oven now. 200 degrees, it's already preheated because I did it at the very beginning, and it needs about 20 to 25 minutes, but keep a close eye on it. If they start to colour too quick, you might need to turn your temperature down. So I think it's time to check on those muffins. They've been in like 20-25 minutes. Let's have a quick look at them. So these are looking great. Now we need to check that they're done. Now the best way to do that is either using a knife or using something with a pointy edge like a skewer. Right in the middle of any of the muffins, put it in, leave it about 3 or 4 seconds, pull it out. If it comes out really clean, it is done. If it doesn't and it's still got a little bit of that batter on, you want to pop it back in the oven just for a few more minutes to finish cooking through. Now we don't need to leave these in the tin or anything, so we're just gonna get them on the side and then they can start to cool off. They smell amazing. I actually can't wait to tuck into these. If you like the recipe, make sure you give me a thumbs up. If you haven't shared it with your friends yet, then what are you waiting for? Share it with your friends right now. Really easy baking, and it's great if you're gonna have to give away any gifts for the festive season. If you have any comments, then please do let me know. If there's anything you want me to bake next, let me know and I'll make sure I get that on my channel. I hope to see you next time.